Hello ladies, today I'm going to teach you how to check for abdominal separation, otherwise known as Diastasis Recti. And this is a self-check video so that you can check for yourself and see if you have it. So many of us get abdominal separation or Diastasis Recti postnatally. The recent figures that I've seen are showing upwards on 80% of women postnatally suffer with abdominal separation. Now, most of you will recover naturally in the 6 to 10 weeks postnatally, but some of us will have that separation going on for a longer period of time. From my experience working with new mums, what I found is that most of them have never heard of Diastasis Recti. They absolutely don't know how to check for it, and they certainly don't know if they have it. So working with me today, we're going to have a look at whether your abdominal wall has separated during your pregnancy and what to do about it. So what is abdominal separation? Well, what happens is in the latter stages of pregnancy, when there's a need for more space, the abdominal wall across your six-pack muscles down the center of your abdominals just separates to create more space for your growing baby. And postnatally, we're left with that space. So it's not unusual to find a gap of 1 to 1.5 fingers in a new mom, or really any mom, but certainly anything of 2 fingers wide or more would be deemed significant, and you would need to seek treatment for that. So if after the self-check you do think you have an abdominal separation, my advice to you would be to seek out a postnatal professional, such as a postnatal specifically trained Pilates instructor like myself, or a women's health physiotherapist who can help you to diagnose more specifically not just the width of your separation, but the degree and the depth of that separation as well, and can work closely with you to help to recover. However, in all instances, even in the instance of a new mom who has no signs of abdominal separation, it's not a case of you're good to go. Postnatally, your abdominal wall is very vulnerable and, has gone through a lot of stretching and thinning out during pregnancy. So it's really important that you build yourself up from the inside out in the weeks and months postnatally. Now, some of us have neglected to do that, and we might have children in their teens or 20s or 30s, and it's still not too late to address the the abdominal separation, which could come in the form of just the mum tum, the belly hanging forward, or really a weak back. Maybe other symptoms such as stress incontinence or other things might be symptoms of that abdominal separation. So I can't emphasize how much a really good postnatal specific Pilates program can help to really effectively build your body back up from the inside out and help to rid you of those symptoms I've just described. So it's really important to know whether you have abdominal separation for 2 big reasons. The first is you want to know exactly what you should be doing to recover and rehabilitate in an effective way, but also, and more importantly, you actually need to know what you shouldn't be doing. Controversially, I would say that without being under trained professional guidance, I would say that all or nearly all abdominal exercises are contraindicated until you're sure you don't have any abdominal separation. Doing abdominal exercises, or a lot of the abdominal exercises that you would find in your average, fitness class or even Pilates class, would be contraindicated. At best, it will restrict your recovery, and at worst, it could actually make your separation worse. So it's really important that you discover where you are now, and then we were able to move forward from there. And don't assume that just because you have no showing of abdominal separation or diastasis recti when you do your self-check doesn't mean that you're good to go. You do need to be really careful. That's a very vulnerable area, and I've had experiences where I've checked girls postnatally, they've had no symptoms of abdominal separation, and have gone off to take part in high-end personal training, which would have included a lot of abdominal exercises. They've come back to me a couple of months later with a full abdominal separation. So that's really the worst case scenario. So it is really important that you take on board that your body has been through a lot, it's quite weak and it's quite vulnerable, and we want to rebuild from the inside out. So your abdominal separation is multi-dimensional. The first two parts you can check for, and we'll do that right now, and that's the space that's between the abdominal wall, the depth of the space between the abdominal wall, and the third dimension is where your professional will come in and they will help you to diagnose the exact degree of muscle activation between the space or in the lower layers of muscle behind that superficial gap. No matter what you test today, it's really important that you take the appropriate steps and that you revisit this test again in maybe 6 to 8 weeks' time once you've started some kind of a rehabilitation program.